one thing. That's all I wanted from these players, this team tonight. And that was to show a bit of character and a bit of fight. But nothing. This team tonight showed nothing. I mean, that's all a fan can really ask for. Even if a team is not playing well, which we haven't been for most of the season. For the past few seasons, we're not playing amazing football. But at least show some fight, show some spirit. Show that, the badge means something to you. And these players tonight showed nothing of that. I don't know what Spalletti is saying to these players in the dressing room. Clearly it's not working. Yes, the options were limited. Injury ravaged squad meant that we had only 12, 13 outfield players out there, and the rest were Primavera players and goalkeepers. So the options were limited, but the players that they were put out there clearly had no idea what they were doing, lumping the ball up to Keita Valde, who's not even a target man, creating no chances. Eintracht, fair play to them, played with great intensity and spirit, showed into how a match should be played in the Europa League, had more shots on target than us, won more aerial duels, completely outclassed us, and if it wasn't for Handanovic, we would have been humiliated today, absolutely thrashed. In this completely disgraceful performance, there was one player that saved himself, and that was our keeper, Samir Handanovic, man of the match for us, without a shadow of a doubt. Saved us from complete embarrassment, made 4 or 5 world-class saves, played as a real captain. Apart from Handanovic, I can't see any light in this match. I'm really struggling to even speak because I'm so angry and so annoyed by this performance. Well, luckily we've got Critty Smith joining us today. You might know Critty, as I mentioned last week. He's one of the writers for SempreInter. Great articles, great features that he does. He's also a regular on the SempreInter podcast, Studio Inter, and he's of course of German descent, and he follows the Bundesliga well, so he knows, his knowledge of Bundesliga is great. So I'm looking forward to having his opinion on this match. So Critty, just take the stage, man. Who was your man of the match and who was your flop of the match? Take it away.
So first off, let me go ahead and say power to the crest. It's great to finally be on SempreInter TV. And as anybody who is doing any kind of review on Inter, you gotta have one of these. This, my friends, is Kansas City's finest brewery, Boulevard Brewing. It's a bourbon barrel-aged quad, a Belgian quad. Now, I should have done some kind of German beer in honor of today's match, but I didn't. Every Inter supporter needs to have one of these to cope with life. And I said something today, winning all the time is boring. We're Interisti, so we're used to, we have shorter lifespans, and in addition to that, we also, we taste defeat. We know that there's going to be 10,000 heartaches before there's one triumph, but for those of us in our 30s, my God, when we get that one triumph though, it's the Heidi Klum of triumphs, right? It's so beautiful. It's fantastic. And it tastes and feels so much better, just like in 2010, right? I know that's a long time ago, but in all seriousness though, it's great to finally be on SempreInter TV. And I'm going to talk today a little bit about 3 particular questions that came to mind in all this. Number 1, what did I think of the match? Who was the man of the match? I thought the entire performance was kind of subpar. I don't really have a man of the match. If anybody, I give the man of the match to the team Eintracht Frankfurt, and I do consider myself, I'm from Germany originally, Amberg in Oberpfalz, aus Bayern. So I grew up, my football heroes were the 1990s generation of players. So Lothar Matthäus, Jürgen Klinsmann, Andreas Brehme, yeah, the Inter legends, you got it. So, it's to see Frankfurt in this position as a Bundesliga supporter, also someone that was my domestic league. It's kind of nice seeing this kind of this team that has, since the 1960s, they haven't won a German championship, and they also haven't been in a major European competition since that time. So it's kind of nice to see Eintracht Frankfurt. This is not a Borussia Dortmund, Bayern München, Borussia Mönchengladbach, even Schalke, or Bayer Leverkusen, those are perennial Champions League teams. The Eintracht Frankfurt is they're a mid-table club at best. Usually, for much of the 21st century, they've been in a relegation battle, and sometimes they've even dropped down to the second Bundesliga. So they made it last year because they won the DFB Pokal. They made it into the Europa League last year, playing this season. They finished, I believe, 11th in the table. So they actually destroyed Bayern Munich 3-1 in the DFB Pokal final. So there's a lot to like about this team. Ante Rebic, who was a World Cup hero for Croatia, beside his compatriots, a fellow Inter player, or not fellow Inter player, but Inter player, Ivan Perisic. It's nice to see someone like that have success. Eintracht Frankfurt also does not have a large budget, so to have this kind of team, it's probably going to be a small sample size of sustained excellence for them. They're not going to really. They're in position right now to be in the Champions League. They're fifth place right now in the in the Bundesliga table. Don't know if they'll make it. They're already out of the German Cup, so Europa League. They should qualify for that. So this is a tough pill to swallow, because that Inter from positions 1 through 11 are more talented really at almost every spot. Of course, it helps that for Frankfurt that Icardi is too busy Instagramming and icing a supposed bum knee, for those of us who believe that. Yeah, it also helps that Lautaro Martinez was absent from this match. It definitely, as a whole, was not a B squad for Inter, but it was certainly a reduced squad in terms of strength and what their abilities are on the pitch. Frankfurt and Jovic in the 5th minute took the lead, and that was pretty much it. And I said this for those of you who listened to the Studio Inter podcast this week, I predicted this. I said this. And I'm not trying to, well, actually, I'm trying to say that I'm a genius. But besides that, I am certainly not trying to act like Inter did not take this seriously. I think they did. Obviously there's a big match on Sunday, the Derby della Madonnina, and Milan is the primary target. If I had to have one of these two matches, it would undeniably be the one Sunday. Look, we're trying to get the Champions League. We're trying to finish top 4 in Serie A, and in the grand scheme of things, this match in particular does not affect that in one way or the other. I do not believe that this Inter side under Spalletti, with this roster, with these names, can win the Europa League. I don't think they can beat Chelsea. I don't think they can beat Arsenal. I don't think they can beat Napoli over 2 legs. There was nobody for Inter that really impressed me at all today. They just didn't look like a team that really cared and had the desire to be there. It seems like a lot of to me, and I'll take this as an excuse, I suppose, but to me it looked like this was a team that was looking forward to Sunday.
Oh man, I agree. Probably Politano is the only one that kind of saved himself really in that performance. He's the only one that tried a little bit, but everyone else, complete garbage, trash, immondizia. I don't know, I need to get the synonym books out. And Critty, as you are, a Bundesliga expert in our team, compared to the first match where I wasn't impressed with Eintracht, what did you make of their performance today? Clearly much improved. Is this the normal Eintracht Frankfurt we would usually see?
Frankfurt, as I said on the podcast, they wanted this more. This is their European competition. They have not been in a European Cup in decades. They haven't won a Bundesliga title in, well, I guess this would be a half century now. This is their spotlight. And it's sort of refreshing to see a team want to win the Europa League. Hell, Frankfurt would want to win this competition in a heartbeat. Not only does it guarantee them Champions League next season, but it's a trophy. It's something that they might win. This is not, I won't even say once in a generation. For them to win a Europa League would be almost, with the way that modern football works and finances and the big dogs, the big fish eating the little fish. this is for a 10-year-old or 12-year-old Frankfurt fan, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. So it's kind of a bittersweet thing, as I was going back to a minute ago, to see a team that really wants to be there, that really wants to win. They have 8 wins and 2 draws in their 10 Europa League matches. They haven't dropped a single point because of a loss. And they got 18 of 18 points in the group stage. They won all 6 matches. No draws, no losses. You know, the Inter fan in me was sort of kind of rooting for them in a weird way, because, you know, they deserve to be there and they deserve to win. And they outplayed Inter over 2 legs. I'm sorry, a lot of people may not agree with that, but we played into their hands in the first match in Frankfurt. They had no overwhelming desire to score. And I know that sounds funny. Well, why would you not want to score? You're at home. Because of the away goal rule, and I said this on the podcast, if they scored 1 goal and Inter equalizes, my prediction was a 1-1 draw, which still sends Frankfurt through thanks to the away goal rule. If they score the first goal or a goal at any point in this match, I don't know that Inter is going to have a lineup that gives them the firepower to score 2, so a 1-1 draw won't be enough. As a Bundesliga supporter, this was, I'm a fan of the league, and there's a lot of problems with the Bundesliga, don't get me wrong. But, you know, for someone who follows it, and I've, you know, been a correspondent here and there for the league, and I've worked on some podcasts dealing with the German league, and so this is not by any means something that's foreign to me. I was happy for Frankfurt in a way, and you know, they are the last team standing in Europe in the Bundesliga. That if you'd have told me that in September, I would have called you crazy. So my hat's off to them. Match well played, 2 legs, excellent effort against Inter, a side that even today lost 1-0. If you look at the matchup on paper, Inter is still a better team than Frankfurt, which makes it all that much more painful.
Okay, thanks for your insight there, Critty. Now, unfortunately, we have to look towards the next match, as if this match wasn't painful enough. Probably our biggest match of the season now. Our season really is on a knife edge now. Our top 4 spot is in big trouble. Looking ahead to the Milan derby. Again, still injury ravaged. What's your thoughts going into this one, Critty?
Looking forward to this weekend, and this is a big one. We're talking about the Derby della Madonnina. And this is the biggest one. I don't consider, you know, Juventus, the Derby d'Italia is big, but that's almost, you know, this one's more attainable, and this one is your city rivals, the inner city rivals, and this one means a lot more to me than the Juventus match does. So for me, this is the match of the year. Every year domestically in the league, Coppa Italia, however we match up against them, this for me is the most important match of the year when it comes to domestic football. So obviously, we talked about this as well earlier this week about Piontek, and some are calling him, already saying he's going to be a 1-year wonder. One can only hope, if you're an Inter supporter, that he is a 1-year wonder. But he does concern me, and you know, I said this, Gattuso has sort of the horses now, has the squad buying into his philosophy, and he has the horses to run the kind of system that he wants to run tactically. I was definitely not impressed with him when he first came in to Milan back in November of 2017, I believe it was. I don't think that anyone thought that he was going to be a long-term solution to what was a long-term problem. This was a chronic illness that Milan had. And, you know, where a lot of people do say that, you know, two strong Milan sides are good for the Serie A. I do agree with that, as long as Inter's above the other Milan side, which currently they're not. We're not. So there's just, as I've said before, the trend is your friend in football, so to speak, and Inter is trending downward and Milan is trending upward, obviously. However, when it comes to derbies, you throw records out of the book, you throw players whose names are on the back of kits out of the book, you can almost throw tactics out of the book. Really, honestly, you can. When it comes to a derby, the rivalries themselves, it's a life force unto itself, and that life force takes shape within the course of the match.
Give us your match prediction, your score prediction, Crit.
It's hard to predict the score, and we didn't actually on the podcast earlier this week. We were told not to. Excuse me. No, I think that Spalletti's going to go with the strongest side. I think that Martinez could be obviously the difference for us in this match. I think that he's not a direct one-to-one replacement yet for Icardi, by no means, and no one's saying that. But I think Icardi's played his last minutes in a shirt that is black and blue in his career, unless he goes to Atalanta, which I don't see that happening. So he basically kind of close the chapter on Mauro Icardi and Wanda Nara and all that crazy shenanigans that goes on there. And I think we can open up a new chapter of Lautaro Martinez, Keita Balde, the new sort of strike force that Inter has. While it might not be the sexiest on paper, obviously Politano, Vecino can help with that. He's good for a goal. Obviously, Skriniar can help you off of corners. Any way you can find a way to score if you're Inter on Sunday, do it. Whether it's set pieces, whether it's from open play. All I ask is that Spalletti not fall into Gattuso's trap. And what I mean by that is, obviously Gattuso is going to want to counterattack. I think that he's going to sit back, let us come to him, and then when we make a mistake, which we have, obviously will at some point, it's evidenced time and time again, he'll look to strike and strike quickly. Down the wings, he's got the speed, he's got the guns, and obviously he now has the scorer, the player with the ability to make a difference in the opponent's final third of the pitch. And that's what he has now that he didn't have at the beginning of this season and his tenure last year with Milan. He now has that. And whether we want to say that Piontek is a one-year wonder or not, right now he's on fire. And that's the one player that Inter's focus has to be on. And we have to pay attention to. And if there's anything that we need to do, whether it's a draw, a win, whatever, we cannot allow that player to beat us. So that being said, I'm going to go with I'm not going to predict a score. I was asked to predict the score, but I just feel, what the hell, I'm going to predict the score. I do believe that Milan will win this match 2-1. Sorry. If I had to, if I'm a betting man, which I only bet with myself, so I'm not gonna go into any kind of bet lines or any kind of bet service or anything like that. I'm not gonna go with B-Win and put money on this game, but I have to go with who's got the momentum. If you're right now, if you're going against Liverpool or City right now, you're crazy. Those two teams are on fire. Well, the same can be said for Milan. What's most impressive about them right now is that Chiesa can score a goal like last week, and then Milan can flip the game around. That wasn't the case just a few months ago. This has only been recently. They've been one of the top sides on the continent since the if you want to call it the winter break, or since Christmas, or whenever regular play resumed in January. Milan's been very, very good, and so that bothers me. That worries me. And if Gattuso isn't the manager that we think will be there long term, I would hate to see what would happen if a Conte or somebody went there. That's kind of scary. Inter right now, they are they're 2-0 win over Spal. Should have been 3-0, but that's me. Can't take a lot of pride in that match. It's against a lesser opponent. Spal hasn't won a Serie A match since January 27th. So there's not a lot of chest pounding or anything that can go in as 3 points. Is 3 points vital that you need to finish top four. But in terms of the top four and qualifying for the Champions League this weekend, this Sunday, this is the most important match of the season so far for Inter. It might be the most important match of the year come May, when all the points are tallied together and we find out exactly where we stand. This is a defining moment for this team. This is where Inter can separate themselves and really truly make their mark and show that they are to be taken seriously, and they're going to finish the season out strong with or without Mauro Icardi. So that's my prediction. Guys, it's been great. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you on the Inter Legends portion of SempreInter TV that's coming out very soon. We're going to start off with Jose Mourinho, and from there we go to Lothar Matthäus, and that'll be coming later on this spring. So for now, this has been Critty Smith, and I'll see you guys later. Forza Inter.
Oh man, I'm struggling to be positive, but if we look back at the history of Inter, whenever we go into a derby as the underdogs, we do perform quite well. But I'm just not seeing this team performing. You know, the team is going to be tired. There's not going to be many options available, and I see a draw at best. 2-2 draw is what I'm predicting. So thanks for joining us today, Critty. One question out for you guys: who is to blame for this performance, for this season? Is this Spalletti? I don't think so. I think we have to go back to the person that's made all of these transfers, all of these players, these average players. Whose fault is that? And I think that is Piero Ausilio, who has been here for years and is responsible for all of these players that are playing right now. Of course, Spalletti has to take the blame for not being able to motivate these players anyway. But let me know in the comments below, guys, who's to blame for this fiasco, and what are your thoughts going into the derby, because I am so scared. That Polish baller, Piatek, scares the hell out of me, and I think he's going to grab a couple of goals against us. But anyway, please like and subscribe, guys. Hopefully I come back with a positive review against Milan, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.